Hello, and welcome to another episode of Houston, We Have a Podcast. On today's episode, we will be talking about the famed actor Nicolas Kim Coppola. I did not know he was a Coppola until we started doing this episode.
Judging by everyone's faces, none of us knew either.
Known better as Nicolas Cage. So, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm going right into this, but like, if you're an actor, like, he's actually the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola, director of Godfather, cousin of Sofia Coppola, who's a famed director, and also cousin of Jason Schwartzman, who's also another really good actor.
Jason Schwartzman?
Yes, he's also in this family as well.
From Scott Pilgrim vs. the World?
Yes. Well, also from a lot better
what an
movies.
Obscure reference
Yeah.
for Jason Schwartzman.
From Rushmore.
Sorry, that's like one of my favorite movies.
It's a great one, but...
Anyway, so we are talking about Nicolas Cage and his career here on today's episode, and having us as guests, or joining us as guests today, we have Ben, who has been on a few episodes before.
Hello.
Our Apocalypse episode, Star Wars episode, and I believe one other.
Oh, when we talked about the films of Luc Besson and
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Video episode.
Yes,
The
the
video
video episode where I found out that I dance in a weird way.
It's okay, no one watched it on YouTube, so
Oh, okay.
no one saw you dancing.
I told people about it, and they declined.
And joining us for the first time is Shadoe. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And as we do for our guests who are here for the first time, we ask you to introduce yourselves to our audience by giving a character and a movie that represents you as a person. What do you have for us?
I'm going to go classic for both of these. Not classic, but like classic for us. So the first one I'm going to say is the character Kat from 10 Things I Hate About You. I really identified with her as a child, and I have rewatched the movie recently, and I would still fall for Heath Ledger singing in a second, even though I put up a lot of walls, and I think this guy gets it.
Who plays Kat?
Pardon?
Who's the actress for that?
Julia Stiles.
Okay.
And then for movie, Rocky Horror Picture Show. It still really like speaks to me. I love it. I love it every time I watch it. I have the soundtrack in my head for a couple weeks after. I've dressed up as different characters from the musical more than once. So yeah, like I love it, and I think the remake wasn't terrible. Like it was actually kind of fun. But yeah, Tim Curry as Dr. Frankenfurter will always be one of my like more obscure sexual crushes, but now it's out there for everyone. So.
It's out there for the 10 people who will listen to this, let's be fair.
Nice.
But anyway, thanks for coming. We're great to have you on the show. Before we get started, jumping into the Nicolas Cage segments, we just want to do a quick something we've seen recently that we want to talk about. So who wants to go first? Something you've seen recently?
I'll go first. So recently, and this is a fun movie. I quite enjoy it. I watched for maybe the fourth or fifth time the movie The Green Hornet. Now, this is a movie that has been pretty slammed in a lot of popular culture, as well as the people that made the movie themselves. I don't know what it says about me, but when I downloaded it off of Netflix so that I could watch it when I was on my phone in transit or places where I wouldn't have access to Wi-Fi, I got a notification that I had reached the limit of number of times I could download that onto my device, and this was the last time until September 9th. So I'm stuck until September 9th. I can't download it again. But that's how often I've seen the movie The Green Hornet that I'm finding out that you can only download it so many times. I don't know. It's a fun movie, and I feel like they made it so that you could watch it in like 10-minute spurts on your phone.
Yeah.
It gets a lot of hate, but I don't know why.
I actually don't mind it.
And you don't like Seth Rogen at all.
No, I don't mind Seth Rogen. I like him.
You've made fun of him multiple times on this podcast.
I made fun of his laugh, but that's like...
Oh, that's fair.
Do you think they're going to have his laugh on the TTC?
Oh, definitely.
They definitely do. I actually kind of heard it
Oh, really?
while I was on the subway the other day. Yeah, I was like, ha 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 ha. Like, it was there. Like, it was on
Is
the
it
subway
because you were
platform.
listening to The Green Hornet,
No,
though?
absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, I was trying to watch Knowing with Nicolas Cage at the time.
And Seth Rogen's laugh interrupted that.
It was
That's
the
worth
doors.
making fun of.
The doors opened at bay, and all I heard was people. People leave their backpacks on the seat. Like that's like terrible.
I said some Cookie Monster in there.
I know. It's bad.
For our American audiences that are listening, which is the majority of our audiences.
Actually, it's true.
Oh yeah, okay.
Seth Rogen is doing the some, what would you call them, public service announcements for the Toronto Transit, so the subways, and probably not streetcars as well, I'm assuming.
He calls out the stations
Specifically,
and stuff.
specifically Subway.
Okay. So he's doing that for Toronto and Vancouver, so we will be all enjoying Seth Rogen a lot more in the future here in Toronto.
Or maybe less for people that don't like him.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
I'll go next.
Sure.
If you don't mind. I watched The Bar on Netflix last night. It's a Spanish movie about like a group of people that are in a bar, obviously. And then as one or two people walk out and they get shot immediately. So the rest of the movie is them just trying to figure out, like, they're just dealing with this tragedy together, and it's like about human nature, I think I felt like was one of the themes, and it's just pretty interesting. Like, it has to do, it's like because of a disease, like quarantine type deal. But like I said, it's mostly focused on like how these people are like dealing with each other and how like they turn on each other and stuff.
So is it like a horror?
I wouldn't say it's a horror. It's like a thriller.
That sounds like the alternate middle of From Dusk Till Dawn.
No. It's. I would not relate it to From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay, fair enough.
The only similarity is that they're in a bar.
So there was a movie a couple years ago that I think was Spanish as well called Veronica, where it was like a girl who was at a bar and then like slowly they go into like a bit of a crime spree, but a crime spree happens around them. But it's all single shot the entire movie, so you really feel like you're there. And it's like, I kind of want to look that up to see if it's the same director because it sounds very similar.
No, maybe. I wouldn't know. I don't know any of the people that were in the movie or the director. I just thought it was pretty interesting. It was like, it wasn't great, but I think it's a cool watch if you're interested in that whole like human nature, like when things go bad, who turns on each other and stuff like that kind of thing.
I gotta watch that. Sorry.
Sorry, how did you get inspired to watch it? Did someone tell you about it? Did you just read it?
So while I'm at work, I watch these YouTube lists of like top 10 of like stuff on Netflix, stuff like that, and then it was on there. And for some reason, that was one of the only movies that I remembered from the list. And I was like, oh, it's on Netflix. I'll watch it.
Sweet. Yeah, sure. I'll go. So I recently watched the movie I, Tonya. It's been recently added to Netflix, I would say in the last 6 weeks or so. And I never saw it in theaters. I did want to, but I have just not gone to the theater in a while. Yeah, it was really, really cool. Allison Janney, I mean, she did win awards for it, so of course she did a good job. But I mean, it was just, everyone did this really cool thing. Something that was really interesting in the movie that I've now been kind of thinking about ever since is Tonya Harding's character, and I would believe this to be true for Tonya Harding herself, only could skate when she was angry. Like if she felt supported and like well loved, like she did a crap skate. But if she was told like, you like hillbilly, you're never gonna make it, you're never gonna be good, she would be really, really good and she'd be like stellar. This is something I struggle with in my own life. When people tell me, oh yeah, you can do it, you'd be great, I crumble. And as soon as someone's like, oh no, I really don't think you can do that, I'm there, I'm ready, I'm prepared. So that's probably not the healthiest thing if
it's
I'm
competitive
seeing
spirit.
it. If I'm seeing it in like the I, Tonya movie as like a character flaw of Tonya Harding. Yeah. So ever since I've watched that movie, it's really something I've been thinking about and working out, including this podcast. Ben was being really supportive this morning, and I was like, they should find someone else. No, I'm not going to do it. No, it's really stupid. Yeah, Ben's best move in that would have been like, you're right, you suck. And I would have been here with like copious notes.
Yeah, if I really wanted to do something, it's like, you don't have the balls.
That was one of my more favorite scenes in that movie is where somebody is like beaking Tonya as she's about to go on the screen or about to go for her skate, and then you see that it was like her mom that paid that guy to like call her an asshole.
Yeah.
It's weird though because I've always kind of aspired to being more like that. But when I play sports, I play the best when I'm completely calm and not thinking about doing well. As soon as I start getting competitive, I don't play as well.
Totally.
But I've watched enough sports movies to be like, oh, people who get angry and then you play really well. But I've never been able to do that.
That's so funny. I also struggle with that with like when you feel really cool, that's when you're going to slip. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you're like, you know what, I look really great today. I'm going to get on the TTC. Yeah, whatever. And then you get on the TTC and you trip and you're like, yep, that feels about right. Because the second you think you're cool, no. Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of history to back that up. Like, it's like, oh, man, yeah, no, I'm feeling myself right now, and then just covered in muck. Like, where did the muck come from? It's on me. Oh, God, it happened.
Yeah, but that leaves you, sir.
Yeah.
Carson.
So a movie that I saw recently that I really liked was Sorry to Bother You. I couldn't name most of the people who were in the movie or who made the movie, but it was a really fresh take on... I just think anyone else who could have made this movie, you could have a much more traditional view. And I won't get too much into spoilers because it does go in some crazy directions, but especially they've talked about at the Oscars lately, and they talked about giving different people who have different perspectives the ability to tell different stories. And I really felt that with Sorry to Bother You because there was a lot of scenes where it's like, I expect where this type of scene is going to go, and then it just does something different. And so there's nothing... Okay, the story does go a bit crazy, but it's not necessarily the story so much as how the story is told within the characters, new comedy, new takes on things, and like it does go a little over the top, insane crazy, which I do love, but all the actors did a really good job. Armie Hammer, I would say, is one person who I really hated a few years ago, and now I'm really liking.
Because of Lone Ranger?
Yeah.
That's a good reason to hate him. Although you should just hate Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Armie Hammer for that one. I'm rooting for him, actually.
I think I
like
hated
Armie Hammer a lot.
I think I hated him because of how good of an actor he was in The Social Network.
So good.
For
Winklevoss.
For the same reason that a lot of people hate the guy who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones. It's like he did that job really well, and you hate him because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But anyway, he did a really good job in Sorry to Bother You as well.
Cool.
Isn't Danny Glover in that?
Yes.
Glover?
I originally...
Glover? Is that... Sorry.
I thought it was Danny
like
Glover
Clover, but
and
with a
Donald
G.
Glover.
No, it's Glover. Huh?
Donald
I
Glover.
thought it was Glover for both of them. Oh, no.
I thought it was Glover.
Glover was the house in Game of Thrones.
Oh, wow.
The Glover...
I don't
The
know.
O.
Okay.
The O
House
is
Glover and
contentious here.
House Umber.
Okay. I think we got
We'll
Never mind.
report back
Yeah.
on this later in the
Yeah.
episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Glover.
Important.
I thought it was Glover for everybody. I've never heard of Glover.
So we will jump now right into the main treat of the episode, which is Nicolas Cage. So I'm going to go on a bit of a philosophy to start the segment off. You guys can comment as you will. I was looking up on Nicolas Cage's career on IMDb. I've seen many of his movies, but it's a lot of out of order because a lot of his stuff coming in the 80s and 90s when I wouldn't have been watching many of those types of movies. But I found some distinct trends, like 5 main points in his career where he came, like in the beginning, it was like he's a goofball, Raising Arizona, Vampire's Kiss, just over the top eccentric type guy, getting his feet in the industry. And then he goes into like an action period with Con Air, Face Off type movies. He goes a bit more serious with kind of the Lord of War adaptation, where he got, I don't remember if he won the Oscar for that or not.
I don't think he did.
And then he goes into like insane, crazy Nick Cage, where we mostly hear about most of his like Ghost Rider, Knowing, Next, Left Behind, bad movie Nick Cage, which bad movies, but he's really entertaining. And then I would consider his most recent years to be his renaissance, where he's doing a lot of B movies on Netflix that are terrible. But he's also doing some movies like Dog Eat Dog, Mom and Dad, Dying of the Light, where it's like some really, I think he's found his niche. And so it's kind of interesting to see how his career has progressed over those years, is like, look at all these different ranges he's played with his particular style, but kind of like following those throughout his career. So that said, where do you guys lie in terms of what type of Nick Cage do you really enjoy?
So I feel like the Nick Cage I grew up with was the action Nick Cage, you know? like Con Air Nick Cage, Snake Eyes Nick Cage, 8mm Nick Cage, Face Off Nick Cage. I love Face Off Nick Cage. I love it so much. I think it's just the perfect, like, there's one moment in there, and I'm sure you guys have seen it when, like, researching for this, even if you haven't seen the movie, where, like, he has to prove that he's he's Castor Troy, which is just such a wonderful name.
He's proving it to his brother.
He's got to
right?
prove to
to
his
Castor
brother.
Troy's brother.
Yeah, to I think his name is like Pranix or something, or Parnix.
Pollux.
Pollux.
Pollux Troy.
Pollux Troy. Again, just the names we've grown up with. So he's
really quick fun fact: Hunger Games. There's 2 characters in Hunger Games, like one of the later ones.
Yeah.
That are named Castor and Pollux.
That's hilarious. that is so good. I love that so much.
An homage to
I hope they're
Face Off.
crazy.
No, they don't speak.
No? Oh my god, that's too bad. But like that one moment in prison where like, and that's supposed to be like John Travolta's character inside of him, and he's got to prove that it's him and he's still bad, so he gives just the perfect Nick Cage face, like you know, like just really big smile and like wild-eyed, like it's like he's making an impersonation of things he's done in the past.
Essentially, it's like Nick Cage doing an impression of John Travolta doing an impression of Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, what would someone think that I would do with my face, and then I'm gonna do that
he
with
does
my
it.
face, and he
it's
does
perfect.
it, and you believe it. Like, I totally bought in. Like, even today, as an adult, like 20 years later, I still struggle with the fact that they didn't actually swap bodies. Like, at no point did John Travolta step inside of Nick Cage and then come out through his own face. Like, it didn't happen. Those are just 2 actors.
Yeah.
But they did it so well that I'm like, I buy this. Wow, the surgery is insane. It's so insane.
So
Body swaps are awesome.
One of my favorites of those examples is Joseph Gordon-Levitt pretending to be Bruce Willis in Looper.
Yes.
Totally.
Also
Which
great.
one would you say is better?
I Face Off. Doesn't matter.
I would agree.
Well, because again, it's one, you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing the younger version of Bruce Willis, who's playing himself. Okay, so he is kind of doing that, but then Bruce Willis is not trying to be. Bruce Willis doesn't try to be anybody else.
Yeah.
He's Bruce Willis. That's it. He has what he does, and he does it. He does it well. He does it. This is like, I also enjoy John Travolta walking around trying to pretend like he's evil Nick Cage. Like,
but you forget that John Travolta, like, he has a lot of roles where he plays that crazy shit as well.
Totally.
Like from Paris with Love, even though he's supposed to be like some secret agent, he's like completely insane.
mm-hmm.
And he was a good balance, I guess. Like, I don't think any other 2 actors would have worked for Face Off.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that they actually switched bodies? They've just been
Don't do
pretending.
this to me. Don't do
They've
this
been
to me.
pretending to
I
be
finally
each other
got it.
in
I got
movies.
past it. I got past it. No, I don't think it's possible. After all these years, I don't think it's possible. But yeah, no, so leading into this, we actually watched the movie Moonstruck.
Yes.
And I think I gotta go back pre-action movie Nick Cage, because he was a delight in Moonstruck. My God, such a wonderful film, and he does it really well, and it's really entertaining and in like a nice, charming way. But also, I don't know.
This is a hard left turn from like Nicolas Cage being insane and
But
like.
okay,
No,
so
but
we were talking before, and you were talking about this movie called Moonstruck, which was charming. And then before this, so at work today, we were watching YouTube clips of Nick Cage, and there was one clip from a movie where he's repeatedly saying, "Get me the knife, I'm gonna cut my throat."
Totally.
And it turns out this is the same movie
It's the
that's
same movie.
charming.
Yeah.
It's the
It
same
is,
movie.
actually.
It's great, yeah, because that's. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say what I think it is that so I think we looked into it, and Raising Arizona came out before or after Moonstruck. There was like
Really close.
there was like a whole succession of movies in the mid to late 80s where he was kind of becoming a thing. So I think the rest of the movie is just kind of nice, but for like his opening monologue, which is what that is, it's the first time you see him in the movie. they were like, okay, you get to do your Cage thing just for like for this part,
just
okay?
Rip it. Just get it, and then that'll establish that you're kooky. And then we'll walk that back the rest of the movie.
Totally, they do walk it back pretty nicely.
Yeah.
And then he even has like a crazy thing where he's like seducing Cher, and he's like, oh yeah, take, like, I don't care, bring me to your bed, like all this other stuff. And it's still like a little crazy, but it would be a little crazy if it was any other actor. But with Nicolas Cage, it's like, okay.
He wouldn't have been known as like Nick Cage at this point, right?
No, exactly.
So it's like they weren't like, oh, we got Nick Cage for this role, we got to give him his thing. It's just like, this actor did his thing.
This was Shadoe brought this up. Like, it feels like people figured out really early that he was a great monologist. Like, you can give him a 2 to 5 minute period in the movie where it's just him talking, and everyone's just gonna eat their popcorn and watch that.
Yeah,
It's not watching like a train wreck, but it's like...
No, you're watching someone that's clearly having a good time at work and is good at what they do, and it's really good. Like, yeah, no, I went into Moonstruck thinking, okay, well, my mom recommended this, so I don't know. And
your mom's a cool lady.
Yeah, she is. She's a cool lady. I really enjoyed. I would recommend watching this movie. It's a good movie.
Is there any actor out there that's better at chewing the scenery than Nick Cage?
Chewing the scenery?
I've never heard that.
Right. Well, it's like you really just explore. I would almost say like a Christopher Walken, maybe.
Yeah, so it's basically like you're using as much of your time on screen as possible to just do as much as possible.
Like they say, cross the the scene. And it's like, that walk is the most interesting thing happening at that point.
It's just like, let him go.
Yep.
And
Yeah. Just,
man.
he's just taking up all of the space.
I'm trying to think of a modern actor that could, like, compare. And I can't think of anyone. Like...
Well, it's almost like it's not like people are asked to do it.
That's true, too.
Like people ad-lib and they, like, improvise, but not to the extent of, like...
Okay, so... What about Jim Carrey?
Oh, shit.
If you want, like, chew in the scenery guy, like...
Would you also throw, fuck, what's his name? The guy who did the genie.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, yes.
Yeah. That's a very different type of chewing the scenery.
Yeah.
True, very true. Although I would say Robin Williams would be separate from those two, like... Or Jim, it's weird. They're all very different.
I feel like Jim Carrey is probably the closest to be on par with Nicolas Cage, but I guess maybe he was held back by all of his directors because like Nick Cage when he does it, just do it and go. And
don't get in his way.
But Jim Carrey.
Oh no! That is intense. Is that Andy McDowell?
Sorry, we have a TV in the background here that's playing Nick Cage clips, and it got very gratuitous.
Oh yeah,
it's still going.
It's like a very aggressive sex scene.
But even like
from
watching
YouTube?
it though.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
So those two guys, that's still
8mm.
That's still 10, 20 years ago. It's like, is there anyone this day who's been let off the leash in that regard? And it's like, I don't know, maybe it is the directors. Like, maybe no one's able... Like, no one has that brand where a director will let them do that.
But I guess it's also the movies that he signs on to, right? Like, because what I was going to say about Jim Carrey is that he does that, you can see it, and, like, it's mostly in the bloopers. Like, it's stuff that gets cut out or it's bloopers. But... For Nick Cage, it's the actual movie where he's doing this shit.
That's a good point, though. Like, does he sign on for bad movies and then escalates them to the point where they become cult classics?
Or he signs on to bad movies because he can do whatever he wants?
But, like, a movie like Face Off, or like The Rock, or think about any of his really major roles, like, if you replace that with any other actor, do we know about those movies?
Well, I think Face Off we would have, because like John Woo directed it, and it's a really interesting concept, and like John Travolta's in it. Like
it's a solid action movie aside from Nick Cage.
Yeah. I have a question considering this. So we talked about from the beginning that he was a Coppola, but he didn't really want to talk about that. But does that mean the other directors didn't know? You're telling me the other
no.
directors don't know that, like, oh, baby Nick is trying to be an actor now, and they're giving him a little bit of extra leeway, and, like, I don't know.
But it's like, so if you're in the mindset where you're like, my last name is Coppola, the Coppola last name in Hollywood goes a long way to being a serious, legitimate actor. I'm going to change my name because I don't want to be that.
Oh, for sure. But that doesn't mean the knowledge isn't still there among the other directors.
Oh, they definitely know for sure.
Right? So, like, they might have given him more license than other actors at the time and other actors today.
But wasn't Sofia Coppola a bad actor?
Yeah.
Speaking from...
But she's not really an
so.
actress. She's more of a director.
Okay.
Like, she's been known more.
But she
for
was
that.
in Godfather 3.
The only thing, speaking of Godfather 3, I've just heard, like, all these things about how she ruined the movie.
I mean, that movie,
I don't know.
like, there was such high expectations for
I haven't
that.
seen it.
So, Godfather 3 reminds me of The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh.
It's a good movie, but there was such high expectations that it never would have lived up to what people wanted it to be. Same with Godfather 3. You let that much time go by, and you make another movie, it's never going to be what you want it to be.
Fair.
It's not a bad movie. It's an okay movie, but it's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to say that I've seen the movie Con Air many, many times. Like, I feel like there's a couple movies that I've seen a lot, and Con Air is one of those movies that I could watch at my grandparents' house because there's no nudity and the swearing wasn't too bad.
It's a very PG-13 action.
Very PG-13. And really, and one of the first films, if not, no, probably not the first film, but it had Dave Chappelle in it. That's
in Con
something.
Air?
Yeah, people don't realize that he was the guy. He was Telly. He was the guy that like has the match and sets the First Nations guy on fire.
As someone who doesn't remember anything about this movie, that's
The First Nations guy on fire.
Yeah, he sneaks a match and a bit of lighter fluid into the plane by like having a piece of like dental floss tied to his back molar and then swallowing it, and then he pulls it up while he's sitting in his seat.
I remember that.
And the way that he was able to do it, because they all check their mouths as they're coming in, is it sounds like he let his breath get really, really, really bad. And so when he goes to, he's like, whew, and the guy's like, get out of here, your breath smells like shit. And then that's how he snuck it on there. But yeah, I love that movie. I've seen that movie so much. It's ridiculous.
The thing I most remember about the movie is there used to be a show on the Discovery Channel called Movie Magic. And they had one episode on how they filmed the plane crash on the Vegas Strip. Because it was mainly model based. And so they did like the whole, this is how we set up the models, this is how we did the visual effects, this is how we combined it. So it was like beginning to end of how they created that scene in half an hour. And I had never seen the movie when I watched that episode, and then I watched the movie afterwards. So my main recollection is the bunny and the plane crash.
Sorry, I was going to completely go in a different direction. So
sorry. Just to finish off the whole action period of Nick Cage, because I do need to talk about this. I went into watching the movie The Rock as an adult with a lot of positivity and a lot of, this is the best Michael Bay movie that's ever been.
Exact words
I think
to get me to watch it.
It still might be, but unless you are super into the military and like shots of cool military stuff and San Francisco.
I am into San Francisco.
I know.
That was my favorite part of the movie.
There but it's slow by today's standards.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to say that about Gone in 60 Seconds, which was a movie that I really enjoyed as a kid. That scene where he steals Eleanor at the end, I probably watched that like 20 times. Like every time I got a new surround system growing up, or any time like we reconfigured it, that was my test scene.
Nice.
I rewatched the whole movie recently. It does not hold up to those expectations.
Well, that's always disappointing.
That was pretty disappointing.
Angelina holds up, though, right?
No.
No, really?
Because,
I think partially the problem is that she has blonde dreads.
And that's the thing,
is
my memory of Angelina Jolie in that movie, I was at a particular age where going through puberty.
I was at that same age, Carson, and I had boys in my class.
And so, like, I just remember, like, I don't remember the movie that much, but I'm like, Angelina Jolie's super hot in this movie.
Right.
And I look back on it and I'm like, maybe that's not my type anymore.
Right.
But it's like everything, and this is, I don't know if it's similar to The Rock, but it's like scenes that I thought were super cool either ended super quick or they weren't as spectacular, and I was just like, oh, I remember that scene, but I thought it was cooler.
Yeah, well, I was surprised at the amount of time that you watch people jog. Like, I did not expect that to be a big part of the movie, but, like, a lot of it is watching people jog around to, like, the next thing and then wait for it to happen. And it's a surprising amount of the movie where that's happening.
I mean, that's what people do in the military, I suppose.
Sure, yeah, for sure. Like, hey, people do jog. I mean, they have to get from place A to place B, but generally they cut that part out of the movie. I don't know.
Especially someone like Michael Bay.
Yeah.
But no, it's all in there.
Yeah, I actually would have been fine with him sprinkling a couple more explosions in there instead of, this is Sean Connery jogging away from things. Like,
so, Michael Bay, best movie, if it's not, what would be number 2? Or...
Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen? No, I'm just kidding.
You're about to get me very upset.
No. I almost would say Bad Boys 2.
I knew that was gonna, and I knew it was gonna be number 2.
You knew it was gonna be number 2. You knew it was gonna be number 2. Bad Boys 2, man. I don't know. I love that movie. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence kick it off by taking out some drug dealing Klansmen, and then they have how they. Johnny Trapia or something? They have to infiltrate his mansion, and how they do it is they they pretend to be exterminators, and then Martin Lawrence sees one rat pile drive boning another rat, and it's like, they fuck just like us. I remember, yeah, that would be probably my favorite Michael Bay movie.
I think this will be controversial, but I would put Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain,
no,
really?
I would definitely 100% Bad Boys 2 over any other Michael Bay movie. Because I own it on DVD.
Absolutely.
It's over here on my shelf.
Absolutely.
And I've watched it countless times.
I had it on DVD as well until I don't have anything else on DVD. It's a great movie.
Also, I could be wrong about this, but I think it came in 2 discs.
Oh, nice.
On DVD. Maybe.
That's important.
Either that,
special features.
Either that, and I kept watching the second disc because that's when it had the Tapia house raid, the raid in Cuba on the mansion.
Nice.
So I kept watching that part over and over back when I was
It's a classic.
You guys excited for Bad Boys 3?
Yeah. No, of course I am. Oh.
It's not directed by Michael Bay.
Wait, what?
It's directed by the guy who did Smokin' Aces.
Okay.
Then yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I'm fine with that.
What's your reticence, Michael Bay?
My what?
Your reluctance to be excited about Bad Boys.
I mean, 3. I feel like if Michael Bay did Bad Boys 3, it would just be Bad Boys 2, but worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And especially nowadays, with my taste, it's not it's not just, I don't want just the huge action scene at the end, which I kept watching when I was 15.
Right, yeah, you want...
Rogue One.
Okay, that's fair. No, you know what? I can't say anything to that.
Okay, so we cut you off on talking about Action Cage, but you were going to go somewhere else.
Totally.
Yeah. Let's get back to that.
It had to do with... Okay, so the time that he did... around the time he did Face Off and... what was that other action movie that he did? Con Air. That was I feel was that near the end of his when he first jumped onto the scene, and then he was having fun doing starting to be an actor, and then Con Air, Face Off near the end, and then he started doing stuff he didn't really like.
Well, it was serious stuff that I think made him more legit as an actor, like Weatherman, Lord of War, adaptation.
No, even before. Yeah, that's true. I'm thinking of National Treasure and
that was after his serious stage.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I guess so after the serious stage, but even the serious stage, because what the point I'm trying to make is I think he stopped kind of having fun making the movies, because the first little bit he gets to do whatever he wants and he's going crazy and he's I'm sure that's pretty fun to do, and then he's like doing the serious stuff, which I guess like it gives him more credence as an actor, but maybe he didn't enjoy it as much.
And he jumped immediately to like Ghost Rider.
Yeah, and then he goes back. So maybe he went back to Ghost Rider and like that kind of shit to be like, I want to have fun again, but it's not quite like good. And then as a product of that, he didn't have fun, and then he moved to like the weird stuff like Mom and Dad, Dog Eat Dog, the stuff that's coming out now, where he gets to be crazy again. Because like I read something about Mom and Dad when I just watched it, and he was saying like it's the most fun he'd had making a movie in like the last 10 years.
The cover is terrifying.
It's a fantastic movie. I highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't seen it. But no, it's a good point that I think he got too reactionary of doing more of the dramatic, serious roles, that he jumped to the dumbest possible things he could have done so he could chew the scenery. And then it took him a while to get through those movies to figure out what his niche really was. And I think Dog Eat Dog, Mom and Dad, like that's where he should be, where it's like he's still doing a bit of a serious role, but his character allows him to go over the top. I think my favorite Nick Cage performance, or like his ideal role, is like Bad Lieutenant. Not my favorite movie of his, but it's like, let him be a little crazy because the character allows it, but he still has some drama. Like he can still do a good, like serious role. So it's like not too crazy, something in the middle.
I watched that movie like before I was old enough where I should have, and I didn't understand like why for 2 hours this guy was just going insane. Like,
Right.
I thought he was a cop. I was like, okay, this is gonna be an action movie. He's gonna like do all these things, like Bad Boys 2, yeah, action movie. He's a cop, take down the bad guys and take down the drug dealers, and then he's like doing all these drugs and like accosting innocent civilians and making the boyfriend's girlfriend have sex with him while he makes him watch. I was like, what's going on?
Oh. That's also like, I didn't realize how broad his range was from an accent standpoint until I started looking at clips of his earlier stuff. Like when I was, again, Action Cage.
Action Cage.
So it was like Midwest or just kind of like a verbose guy, non-specific accent. And then you look at his earlier stuff and it's like, I'm from the valley. Like it's he's got a lot of
his
different
accent
options.
ranges from accurate to what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
That's true. So are you guys saying you didn't like any of his like more serious movies, or you just didn't like them as much as his action
No,
movies?
If I'm talking
like them.
about just what my favorite movies of that he has been an actor
Right,
in,
for
adaptation's clearly the best.
Oh yeah.
It's his best movie
Definitely,
that he's been part
yeah.
of, in my opinion.
I've seen the like similar to like you're talking about a movie that you've seen a million times at a grandmother's house. The Family Man. It's like every Christmas it's on. So, you know, and it's decent. I don't not like it. Like
There's a solid Cage freakout in that one too.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
yeah, for sure.
In the when he's in the department store, he wants to buy the suit.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, but he used to have all the suits.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I actually,
Yeah.
so we're going to be reenacting our own Cage freakout scenes later. I was really looking for one from adaptation because that's my favorite movie of his, but like he doesn't have a Cage freakout in that movie, and that's probably why people don't like that as a Cage movie, even though it's a really good performance.
Right.
I think one of my favorite performances from him is in Lord of War. Just because not only his own performance, but like I just like that movie. I don't know. I've randomly watched it a lot, like many times, and it's not a typical movie. Like considering what I normally like, it's not something that you would think that I would watch over and over again. But I don't know. He just really good. Like it as a dramatic performance, and it's not like usually I'd be looking for like a great freak out from him, but it's not this. It's like it's just a good movie, which is like weird for me.
So we'll end off this conversation on an analysis of National Treasure. Sorry, that's
first
not a transition. But it's kind of summing up Cage's career. Like, I think National Treasure is a generally competent performance, but it's not a Nick Cage. Like, you could put other actors in that role. Like, you could put a Tom Hanks in there or something. It would still be an okay movie. So where do you sit on National?
It was called Angels and Demons.
Yeah. So, like, National Treasure. Do you like that movie? Is that a good Nick Cage movie? Where do you evaluate that one as?
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was okay.
It's just like you don't need Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Do you need that movie though? I've heard it be slammed a little bit.
The first one was
It's
okay.
fine.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
It was like
Cool.
a nice young person's like adventure.
It's
action
like the
movie.
Da Vinci Code, but not so religious, so I didn't hate it as
Oh,
much.
okay.
So.
Cool. All right.
What I
Maybe
thought
give it
was-
a chance.
I thought it was kind of interesting that there's a couple movies like that where it feels like they were getting set up for multiples, and then that's the only one that they really did multiples. Like I was watching I was looking through the Netflix list, and it's like USS something or other.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, and it's
I
like
watched
Code
that
of
one.
Honor or something. And clearly that title would seem to indicate that it's going to be another one. Same thing with Bad Lieutenant. It's like Bad Lieutenant something something
Port of Call,
something.
New Orleans, yeah.
There you go. And then they just never got around to it. And then National Treasures, they actually did more than one, right? I assume
Yeah, they did too.
they did two. Nice. Yeah, but like he's got a couple movies where like it feels like they were queuing up for multiples, and then they were like, oh, just that one. That one was probably good.
It's kind of like how Disney put a Star Wars story on movies saying they were going to do a bunch of them, but that's gonna die.
No, what?
All right, let's end it there.
All right. Okay.
So we're gonna break this up here for one of our getting to know you segments. We decided that we would play the Newlywed Game, seeing as you two are our second married couple that we've had on as guests.
What?
You don't say.
We're the second. Who's the first?
Our previous episode.
In our Avengers Deadpool solo review.
Oh,
Couple.
okay, nice.
If you guys are listening, you are invited back on at any future episode.
We still don't know who you are, but that's cool.
It's a good test to see if they're listening.
But you're invited,
Oh.
Sure.
anonymous people.
So what we usually do in terms of getting to know you is we ask you 5 movie-related questions. That's just kind of like a rapid fire. So what we decided to do on this one is we gave you the questions to each other ahead of time of what we're going to ask the other person, and we asked you to guess what you think that person will answer. So we are going to rapid fire questions. I just want to hear the answer, and then we will move on. And then at the end of all 5 questions, we will look back at what the other person guessed was your answer. We will start with Ben.
Okay.
If you could have one movie alien as a friend, which one would you choose?
I would choose Chewbacca.
If you could go to one fictional movie planet,
Tatooine.
which house would you be in at Hogwarts?
Hufflepuff.
That is correct. Zombie apocalypse, what do you pick as your primary weapon?
Sword.
A movie about your life, who plays you?
Seth Rogen.
Wow! That is 2 out of 5 correct.
Yes.
So she
That's as
guessed...
good as anyone can do.
That is actually pretty good. For the movie alien, she guessed Wall-E.
Oh, okay. It's a
for
robot.
the-
I know, but
I thought it would have
like,
been
And they're
Mogwai.
not an alien. And
I
she's
know.
not an alien either. Not,
Oh,
they
doesn't
don't specify. Although actually, if you read the book, it is an alien.
There's a book.
Yeah.
All right.
Novelization of the movie. Anyway.
For the fictional movie planet, Krypton.
Oh shit, that's a great one.
And then for the zombie apocalypse
doesn't exist
weapon
anymore.
weapon,
Sorry.
yeah. Sorry.
bludgeoning mace.
Okay.
It's like,
So that's pretty,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
that's
one.
pretty ranging. A mace versus a sword. It's kind of like quick cuts versus.
I imagine him like running towards the zombies, it's
swinging a mace,
for sure.
and it's like a chain. Mace.
I feel like a
it's
mace
with
is
a
a
ball on it.
Oh no, that
Like one
a
of these?
chain mace?
Yeah.
Okay, those
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
maybe.
And
Oh,
then
a
he's
morning
just,
It's almost like
oh, see,
a
I wasn't
Morningstar,
exactly sure what it
right,
was
yeah.
called, but I was just like, that thing that bludgeons and like.
If
Right.
it was a mace like what's his name? Walking Dead. Lucille.
Oh.
What's Jeffrey Dean
Oh,
Morgan's
yeah,
character?
Yeah. I remember.
What's his name?
Something.
Negan.
Negan.
Yes, the baseball
I
bat.
didn't want to guess. 'Cause I was gonna get that
Yeah.
If you got it wrong, that would.
Risky.
But Seth Rogen was correct. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
And
right,
that was
exactly.
before we even brought him up in the podcast. I filled that out. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay, so Shadoe,
shit.
questions
Okay.
for you now.
All right, I'm ready.
1 movie alien as a friend. What do you choose?
A movie alien. I don't know. What Those, they don't have names. Oh no.
It's already wrong.
Yeah, it's already wrong. I don't know. I don't got one.
Name an alien.
Name any alien. Elf.
Oh,
From a
Elf?
movie.
That's close.
From a movie.
Was there an Elf movie?
No.
Wasn't there?
For the purposes of this, no.
Okay, you have to pick another
Okay, E.T.
Oh, that's correct.
one. We got there eventually.
I forced her to pick movie alien. I knew it.
One fictional movie planet.
I'm gonna say Krypton because I don't know any others.
Okay.
I was also gonna say Earth, but then I don't know.
The one from Avatar. I forget
Yeah.
what it's called.
I don't know.
All I know is the mineral is unobtainium.
Yeah, and the people are Navi.
Yeah.
Unobtainium.
Maybe.
Which house from Hogwarts would you be at?
I feel like it would be a mix, but that's not allowed, so I guess I'll just say Gryffindor. Oof.
Not correct.
Interesting.
Zombie apocalypse. What weapon are you picking?
Gun! No.
Movie about your life. Who's playing you?
Charlize.
Oh.
So we had the house.
Who's that?
You got one.
The house was Hufflepuff.
You're the Hufflepuff. in
Wow.
that relationship. You're
man.
not both Hufflepuff.
Wow.
I've only read the first 3 books, and I can tell you that.
Offense. I didn't read any of them.
Well, then, how do you know?
So on the weapon,
movies.
he picked sword for you.
Oh, it's the same.
It's a good.
Sword or gun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I feel
Sword
like
or
you're just
gun?
really into swords.
Yeah.
It's the best one.
How?
I feel like the
Because
mace
it
is
does-
better.
Gun, you're gonna
I
you're gonna
appreciate
run
that,
out of
Paula.
ammo. Sword, you're gonna be able to cut through someone's head and move on. Bludgeon, you're gonna have difficulty because you're gonna get it stuck in things and you have to
No,
cave in
they're
the
so
head.
I feel like the sword would
fragile.
get
You're
stuck
just
more.
like
There
You
was
know.
an episode of Mythbusters where they went over this of what would be the most effective.
Yeah.
It was mass zombie.
And it was like the
attack.
bludgeoning one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Well, we've both seen it.
Yeah, but not the Morning Star.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay, no, that one-
Bludgeoning
Not
is still
that.
in the name.
And then a movie about your life, he picked Joy Nash.
Oh yeah, that'd be fine.
who
Joy's
I'm not
beautiful.
familiar with.
Joy Nash is a wonderful lady. She has not been in any movies that I know of as of yet. She's had a couple bit parts here and there, but right now she's the star of a new AMC show called Dietland. And it is incredible. But this is not a TV show podcast,
Cool.
so
It's
I
okay.
will
We're expanding
stop
a little
it
bit.
there.
So it's disqualified and you
Yes.
lose.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Joy would be great. Though I'd probably fight her for the role. But that's fine. She'd be better.
All right, thank you for that. Now going into our highlight of the episode, we will now be pitching the perfect Nick Cage movie and role. So I will be judging this segment. Paulo, Ben, and Shadoe, you guys will be pitching your own Nick Cage movie, where presumably Nick Cage is in your lead role, and you have the perfect performance to utilize all of his skill sets. So I forgot to prep this, but in order to figure out who will be going first, we will be playing another edition of Movie Nose.
Oh, yes!
What?
You guys not know about this, but what I have is a series of clips on my phone where somebody from a movie is saying no. And whoever guesses first gets to pick what order they will do their pitch in, either first, second, or third. So I will play the clip, and then you will guess. So to give you an idea, I'm going to give an obvious one. This is a sample one, just to give you an idea of how this will go. Hold on.
Can't believe you brought this back.
I have like 30 of these clips. I'm going to keep bringing these back. So you have to tell me who says it and what movie it's from. At least enough that I know you know what movie it's from. So try to give me as much detail as possible. So here's an example. If I were to play this clip.
Oh, the third of the prequel Star Wars movies, Darth Vader.
Yes.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
All right. So you guys all understand?
Yes.
Okay.
You used that.
That's why it's the sample.
I know, but we can use it.
So this first one's a little bit harder. Don't know if you guys are going to get it. I don't remember how obvious this is. I just have the title of it on here.
Crank up the volume.
Yeah, sorry, I'll go max volume here. So here is first one.
Shit.
Wow.
Is that a Terminator movie?
Nope.
Alien?
Nope.
The Flight of the Navigator.
Nope. Any guess from you, Shadoe?
No, not at all.
So that is from A Christmas Story, when he gets kicked down the slide by Santa.
I've never seen it.
There you go.
Recall
Same.
them being kicked down the slide.
I just
by
know someone
Santa.
might shoot their eye out. That's all
Yes.
I know about that movie.
Same.
All right, here is number 2.
Is that an Austin Powers movie?
Nope. I can play this one again.
Sure. Okay, it feels like they're falling down like a cliff or something,
Totally.
like into the. I'm gonna say cliffhanger.
Nope.
It sounds like a comedy movie.
Yep.
It's because it's a silly no. It's like a no.
Can you guess who the actor is?
Will Ferrell.
Yes.
Oh. Zoolander.
Nope. He's not in Zoolander.
He
Yes,
is in
he
Zoolander.
is.
Mugatu.
It is a Will
It's
Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
Does any?
Jake
I'll give,
Land of the
Screaming?
Lost.
Oh,
anyone who guesses the name of the movie, I'll give it to you.
It wasn't that?
It wasn't Land of the Lost.
Nope.
or Kicking and Screaming.
Nope.
Zoolander.
Nope.
Step Brothers.
Nope.
The other guys.
Nope.
Or is this what we're doing? We're just
Old
listing Will
school.
Ferrell movies.
Nope.
Elf. It's definitely not that one.
Legend of Ricky
I-
Bobby, Talladega Nights.
Nope.
Anchorman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah!
It's when his dog gets kicked off the bridge.
No.
Oh, wow. I don't even
So
remember
you
what
get
that
first
was.
pick of what order you will do your pitch in. Do you want first, second, or third?
I'll go third.
Okay. All right. Between
Surprise.
Shadoe and Paulo, let's do this one.
Wait, do that again.
That's shorter than I thought it was going to be. Sorry, that one's going to be really hard. I'll give you one guess
they've
each.
been so easy.
Yeah.
So far.
I'll give you one guess each, and then I'm going to move on because that's a tough
Okay,
one.
one more time. I give up.
Is that Nicolas Cage?
No.
No.
Karate Kid.
One more guess. Okay, it's Brad Pitt when he finds out in 7 that
Oh
the
my
head is in the box.
god!
Wow, that's how he says no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's
that's
pretty
weird.
lackluster.
Weird.
No, well, there's more no's after that. Isn't
Not
there?
immediately, I think. Okay, here's a little bit of a longer one.
I know this one.
You know this one?
I'll play it one more time.
Sounds familiar, but I am bad at this kind of stuff.
Is this one an Austin Powers movie?
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah, it's the steamroller.
it's the steamroller scene. Yes. Okay, so
Nice
do you
work.
want first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I've been thinking
So
about this for a
Shadoe,
while.
you're second. Ben,
Sounds
you're
great.
third.
Yes.
We'll give you about 5 to 7 minutes to do your pitch. So take it
That's
away.
a long-
I don't need a lot of time. I just want you to think back, everyone. Let's take a journey with me. What have you not seen Nicolas Cage do yet?
Batman.
No. Well,
Romance.
that's true, but he has. Yes,
Yeah,
hasn't he?
he's done romantic
Oh,
movies.
yeah, but not recently.
Have you seen Nicolas Cage in space? Has he done any movies where he's in space? The answer is no. No! I propose to you, for your consideration, Nicolas Cage is a spaceship captain. It's like later on in the future where faster than light travel is possible. Have you guys ever seen Event Horizon?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, it's a terrifying movie.
That's why I haven't seen it.
I shouldn't have seen it when I did. It scarred me for life, but it was scary. It's kind of along those lines, not 100% haunted spaceship, but like it's like long space travel. Nicolas Cage is your captain of the ship. He has a crew with him, but he starts feeling the effects of like, just being in space and like no sound, and he kind of starts losing his mind a little bit. I think you see where I'm going with this. You get solid potential for a really good Nicolas Cage freak out throughout the whole movie, but like say this space dementia, let's call it, is the disorder that he starts suffering from, and like it makes you like hallucinate, and like you see your like darkest fears and stuff like that. You see like giant spiders crawling through the spaceship halls and stuff like that, and his crew are like, they're just trying to deal with their captain because he's like their authority figure, but he's like going nuts, and they're like, what do we do with this guy? But at the same time, they don't know if they're going nuts because they've got like space, well, some of them, like it's like slow build of like space dementia, and it's just like it's a psychological thriller, if you will, with starring Nicolas Cage, directed by Guillermo del Toro, because I think he'll get some really good like creature, like scary creature shit.
Nice.
Like with the hallucinations and stuff.
Right.
His supporting like, I mean, I didn't want to cast the supporting actors because I would just cheat and pick all the best actors.
I'm gonna need those.
You're gonna need them?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll try and even it out. I want okay, let's say the pilot will be what's his name? He is he's the guy from Black Klansman.
Which one?
The
Driver?
main guy.
Or the black guy?
The
Denzel
black guy.
Washington's son?
Yeah, Denzel Washington's son.
Okay.
I forget his name.
John David Washington.
John David Washington. He's the pilot. I want Adam Driver to be kind of like, not to keep taking everyone from Black Klansman, but just because I love Adam Driver, I want him to be kind of like a antagonist a little bit within the sane crew members. He's another guy that can kind of lose his shit really well. So I want him as part of like to just throw a wrench into like the crew trying to survive. I want Allison Brie, who is usually like a funny actress, but she's gonna be the main I guess the hero, aside from Nicolas Cage isn't the hero.
She's the one from Community, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Allison Brie is like the protagonist who's like trying to get her crew through everything. And then Asian guy.
John Cho?
No, not John Cho. Surprisingly, not John Cho. Fuck. What's his name?
Randall Park.
Huh?
Randall Park.
Randall Park? Yeah, yeah, I'll take him.
No, wait, I don't know. I'm just trying.
I hadn't casted this.
Oh, I see. Sorry, my bad.
At the risk of taking like too many comedic actors, I'll take Randall Park, but he's gonna play a completely straight, serious role. And he's like the no nonsense engineer. That's the whole cast. I mean, we'll have like flashbacks and stuff, and like hallucination scenes with like families of crew members and stuff like that, but they're nobodies, so it doesn't matter. And you just see a really solid devolution. Is that how you say it?
De-evolution.
De-evolution into madness, while these this space travel crew is trying to make it to another galaxy.
Nice, solid.
So 2 questions for this.
Yes. Hit me.
So you look at a movie where it's like the de-evolution of a person like Taxi Driver. We can at least sympathize with it a little bit. So through the eyes of Nicolas Cage's character,
Yes.
what is causing, like, what path is he going down? And then, so second question, which you all are going to have, so you should start preparing. If I Google a YouTube clip of this after and I look at Nick Cage's greatest scenes, what scene from this movie is going to be on that clip reel?
Okay. So the question 1, it's a bit of a cliche, but he's gonna be the captain that like lost crew members, and he's like trying to this expedition is like a one-way trip. So he's kind of been punished, but at the same time he's like given this opportunity. Like it could go really great, but at the same time you're probably gonna die because we don't know what's gonna happen. So he's like given this opportunity. So he's like wrestling with like the losing of his crew. And this opportunity of like, okay, I'm gonna like make things better. But at the same time he's going crazy, so he doesn't know what to do. So that's like his journey or his struggle in this movie. And then the main, I think there's gonna be one like real point where he snapped. Like it's a slow slow descent into madness, but there's gonna be one exact point where he relives like his crew, his previous crew like dying in like a space accident that was his fault, and then it's gonna be like a flashback scene, and then hard cut to him just like screaming at the top of his lungs and just losing his mind in his captain's quarters and like bashing things and stuff like that, while Allison Brie walks in, and then he's facing the wall, she walks in, and then he turns and he gives her like the vampire's kiss look, like the "you don't say." That is gonna be our that's trailer worthy right there. That face is gonna be in the trailer.
All right, Ben, Shadoe, do you have any holes to poke into this? Do you have any questions for this?
I feel like to a degree it's like a Nicolas Cage if you were to expand on the movie Moon. A little bit, add more people. Again, very much like I appreciate the descent into madness, and I feel like Nicolas Cage is uniquely suited for that kind of descent.
I thought a little closer to have you ever seen Sunshine?
Yeah.
With Cillian Murphy?
I have not.
It's about like
Great
this
movie.
Yeah, the space crew is trying to like restart the sun because the sun is dying. But then there's this whole thing about like if you look at the sun, like it just drives you mad.
Cool.
And then
I have to say, one of the things I was thinking the most while you were explaining it was the third Hobbit movie.
Third Hobbit. Oh, okay. With what's
Where
Thorin?
the dwarf goes like treasure crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's that something like that too.
I didn't mean that in a positive way, but
I mean, I think it's better than that personally, which was my next point.
all right. Any last comments on this?
I think it's great, actually. I think I would actually watch
supposed to
this
be
movie.
Thank you,
I
Shadoe.
don't care. I think I would watch this movie. Like,
This is like my dream movie. Like I think this is my favorite pitch of anything I've pitched in the podcast.
yeah, and I'm kind of mad that you were so happy to go first now. Like a little bit angry.
And on that note,
Yeah, let's
Shadoe, it is your turn.
start me with my anger rant now. No, actually, okay. So as Ben mentioned earlier this week, we watched Moonstruck, and at the end of the movie, Cher and Nicolas Cage end up together. But to my best knowledge, there's no Moonstruck 2, Moonstricken, So, like, I want to see, like, a mega fast forward, right? Like, now it's current day. They have somehow lasted. They have had this marriage that has just been incredible.
They have grandchildren.
They have children. They have grandchildren. In the movie Moonstruck, Cher's parents are going through a bit of an adulterous time. I'll leave it at that. So it would be really funny if they had a kid, and I'm thinking like Kate McKinnon maybe, who kind of falls into the same thing that Cher happened to Cher, where like now she's in love with two different people, and she would be in love with two different like women characters, maybe like unknowns who are just making it on the scene right now. Then like that's when all of a sudden like they kind of start reevaluating their marriage and start thinking about like, well, we've really put in some good years, and then they both start like trying to like date as well as their daughter dating, and all of them are dating, and they're all like running into each other at different places, and like they're all trying to have their own private lives, but like everyone kind of knows that everyone's doing different things, and it would all be like interlocking and fun and just kind of like a weird like most, I don't know about longest, but like the biggest gap between like a movie and its sequel in a really long time.
Maybe Blade Runner.
Right. And to answer your question about like best like freak out moment, I would love to see Nicolas Cage like figuring out Tinder. And like not knowing, no, I didn't want to swipe right. I don't like, why do we swipe? And like just freaking out about like how hard it is, and how like all he had to do to win over Cher was yell at her at his bakery. So yeah, I think that's something I would like to see. based on my very quick thinking.
I have a question.
So I
Yeah.
have 2 questions before
Yeah.
Paulo and Ben
Okay,
jump in.
Great.
My 2 questions, because you answered one of mine.
Yeah.
What does Nick Cage's Tinder profile look like?
Oh.
And then my second question. Answer that while I
Okay,
remember
sure.
my second question.
It's going to be like one of those ones where he's heard it somewhere that you're not actually supposed to be a person, and he'll like make it like a piece of bread and like try to like get likes that way. And it's like, if she likes this piece of bread, she'll like me.
He goes back to his old bakery for the
Yeah,
for the profile.
totally. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's not a real profile. Like, he's trying to like catfish, but in like a very upfront catfishing, not like a more handsome person. Just being like, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Clearly, I don't use Tinder, so thanks, babe. I love you.
Oh, you shouldn't.
We have no idea how you would use it.
Clearly.
Second question. What makes Nick Cage uniquely good for this role and not any other actor?
Okay, so apart from it being like Moonstruck 2, Moonstricken, and he has to be there because he was in Moonstruck, I think it would just be really fun to watch him be like struggling with normalcy, but like weird normalcy, and just see him kind of like freak out about those different things. Honestly, maybe it could be interchangeable. Maybe there could be like a Bruce Willis or a John Travolta in there, but
I think Bruce Willis would make it boring.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as like quirky. Like, and that's what I would want to see from this movie. Like a lot of quirk. Like Cher would still be in it. Like Cher would be there as like a woman of her own. Like, yeah. So
I get the sense of like an independently made family man.
Totally.
Like, in the future.
Yeah.
So my question
Yeah.
is, are you gonna what's it called? CGI age Nick Cage and Cher?
No.
No? Okay.
Like, they're together. Like, it's many years later. It's 30 plus years later already.
Okay.
So they're gonna be.
Oh, since that movie, it
Yeah.
actually has been. 30.
Yeah.
It's been like 31 years.
But if they're like grandparents, like.
So you have a kid, and then they might be grandparents. That would be fun.
They were like 40 in the movie.
Yeah.
In
that we're
Moonstruck.
watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, maybe not Nick Cage, but definitely Cher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has that one little strip of gray hair. That's
Yeah.
how you know she's a woman of age. And then they dye it halfway through to like make her more effable, which is
So
important.
were you hoping that they would take their regular faces and take their face off?
Face off. Yes. And then we watch Nick Cage trying to pretend like it's Cher inside of his body, pretending to be Nick Cage.
Snap out of it!
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. No, that's great. I also feel like both of them have become more caricatures of themselves since that movie came out. So that would be really fun.
Nick Cage through his films, Cher through her Twitter account.
Sure. Yeah.
What?
Right?
Cher has Twitter?
Yes.
She has racy thoughts
Yes.
that need to be.
Interesting. Do you feel like her Twitter account will diminish interest in this movie?
No.
Okay.
No, I think everyone would be very excited to see Cher back on the big screen.
Okay.
I mean, I would. I shouldn't say everyone would be excited to do something I would be excited to do, but
She is
Yeah.
in Mamma Mia 2.
hey, there you go. She's on the
Didn't know that.
crescendo, coming back.
Any last comments or critiques of this pitch idea from Ben or Paul?
I mean,
I love the movie Moonstruck, so I would be into seeing Moonstruck 2, Moonstrucken.
Sunstruck.
Sunstruck.
Oh my God, Sunstruck?
That's kind of like what that other movie you were
Yeah.
talking about, though.
No, yeah, and rather than it be the moon causing them to be really weird, it somehow will work in like heat stroke.
Yeah.
Apparently there's this thing with like Mercury.
Yeah,
In
Mercury's
retrograde?
in retrograde like right now.
Oh, it's always in retrograde, I feel.
Yeah, right now.
Uh-huh.
Fight me.
I did not know about this before. I just learned about it.
I feel like it's one of those, like, astro things that everyone's like, oh, my life's shit, Mercury must be in retrograde.
What happens when Jupiter is ascending?
Everyone leaves the theater.
You did it.
Yes.
Heyo.
Take
On that note, Ben, take us away with your pitch idea.
Fantastic.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
so
my pitch idea is at some point they're going to tell the story of Vince McMahon, the man that owns the WWF. Formerly WWF, currently WWE. They're going to tell that story. And who's the man to play Vince McMahon? Nick Cage. All right? Think about it. It's the behind the scenes. It's Jim Henson and how he got the Muppets together, but the Muppets are meatheads. Okay?
Is it a biopic?
It's a biopic.
Okay.
It's absolutely a biopic. It's the inside, behind the scenes Vince McMahon played by Nick Cage. And that's it. That's what it is. We look at his rise from when he crafted WrestleMania all the way up to when he screwed Bret Hart, and then a little bit after, but it's all from his perspective, played by Nick Cage.
All right, what's
succinct?
What's your number one scene of that movie?
Number one scene, it's towards the end of the scene. It's immediately after he's screwed Bret Hart. Bret's leaving for another federation, and at that point, he's still the champ. And he's got to get that belt off him any way he can. So he's got behind the scenes, he's conspiring against Bret Hart. It was covered from Bret's perspective in the documentary Wrestling with Shadows. Why are you laughing?
I'm not. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Is this all one scene?
Who plays Bret Hart? I'm sorry. I need to know, and I'm sorry to cut in.
Who plays Bret Hart?
That's a good question.
Oh, very good question. It would have to be, it would be great if it was The Rock. He doesn't look anything
Does The
like...
Rock not play The Rock?
No.
Is it The Rock with a blonde
This
wig
is
on?
before. This is before. Yeah. Was that from SNL? Like, if you smell what the...
He's like doing a fake wrestling promo
Yeah.
with Bobby Moynihan.
Yeah, with Bobby Moynihan.
It's getting
He
really
keeps coming up.
personal.
Has herpes.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's got it bad. Woo! It would be played by like The Rock or someone else beefy. Like I could also see like a Mark Wahlberg with like a wig on,
Or like Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, good one.
Maybe Liam Hemsworth if he started eating the way that Chris Hemsworth does.
Well, he needs to make that Chris Hemsworth money.
That's
if he
true.
wants
Yeah,
to.
he's got to be getting sick and tired of going back to Australia and having sex with Miley Cyrus.
What a terrible life.
Tough. It's tough out there.
Hemsworth.
So it's the final. It's towards the end. He's screwed him, and it's always been shown from the perspective of Bret Hart. Now this is the perspective of Vince McMahon, and he's getting ready to tell everyone how Bret Hart did it to himself. And it's him getting psyched up in a mirror, and it's Nick Cage.
That's cool.
Like,
I like that.
Bret screwed Bret. And he just is all gravelly and angry. And he's getting all worked up. And he's huge. We might put like a fake muscle suit on because that's Vince McMahon. He's jacked. Like he's 70 years old now, but he was on Muscle and Fitness like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's strange.
He's insane. And that's Nicolas
Do you not
Cage.
think Nicolas Cage would train for the role? Maybe he doesn't have to put a muscle suit on.
I don't think he has to. I think he would just be like, yeah, no, put the muscle suit on. I'm not training for this. Fuck you. I'm Nick Cage. I just show up on the day. I don't know. Yeah. So that's any other questions?
Any questions for me too?
I'm in shock. I need to think.
So I'm going to lay my cards on the table.
All right.
It's going to go to Ben unless one of you two can really tear that apart and say yours is better. So I'm going to need the arguments now.
I'm not going to fight for my idea. I am going to fight for Paulo's idea. Only because I think a space movie would be more universally enjoyed.
I see.
Oh, no,
I'm pitching the movie for me. I'm pitching a movie for me. I got it.
And I get that too, but I'm just saying that does sound like a very enjoyable movie. I would enjoy watching you watch that movie.
I would enjoy watching me watch that movie too.
That was my question too. Like along those lines, how do you open this up to non-wrestling fans? Because like Straight Outta Compton had like elements of action and like they had the whole race thing. How do you open this up?
So to add on to that, I know nothing about this Bret Hart story.
Sure.
Oh, Carson.
No, absolutely. I won't get too far into it, but it's similar to like the structure and the charm of like the Larry Sanders Show, right? Where it's about crafting these scenarios and seeing the behind the scenes of it. So there's, because ultimately it's a TV show, right? It's a TV show that he's been putting on for the last 30 plus years. And it's a consistent thing. He's been doing it. Him, other people have been involved, but the ultimate say has been his for 30 plus years. And one guy involved in that for that long, it's going to be, I feel like that's compelling. I feel like that is an interesting thing. Take into account, like, his wife has run for Senate in the past and failed. She's now, I believe, part of Trump's cabinet, or at least like an adjunct. He's deep in with Donald Trump. That's the other weird thing about it. Like, if we take it closer to present day, you could actually have a representation of the current president spearing him. And that's a shoulder tackle for those that aren't super into wrestling. Shoulder tackling the crap out of him on national television, and what led to that.
Okay, you almost lost me, but then you brought me back with the spearing of Donald Trump.
Donald Trump did it too.
Wait, what? He did?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
I
okay,
almost
then
imagine
I'm lost again.
Inglourious Bastards type ending where like Vince McMahon becomes president of the U.S., where it's like grounded in reality and then just like, yeah.
I mean, that is as possible as anything now that we live in this world.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's not go too deep into that.
No, for sure.
All right, so 1 minute final comments on why your pitch is the best. I'll go in the order of how you pitched it. So, Paulo, you got 1 minute.
You know what? Much like Ben structured his pitch, this is just my dream movie. This is a guy with a dream. Give me the money to make this movie. Like, number one, we haven't seen Nick Cage in space yet, and I think that's grounds for a great like, not only a freak out, but like just new ground that he hasn't explored yet, and I really want him to expand his range, as a spaceship captain. My eyes are getting a little twinkly right now.
All right, we'll just kick it to Shadoe.
Okay, great. What I think this movie would do is kind of reboot those 80s movies he was in before he became an action star. So a lot of people watch this movie and go like, what? Why is this even a sequel? Then they'd go back and watch Moonstruck. Then they'd go back and watch all of his other, like, Raising Arizona and, like, a couple of really fun movies. And I think that would be compelling as well.
Ben?
I think the success of the television series Glow lets us know that there is an appetite for this type of behind-the-scenes look at professional wrestling, and that there is the depth and breadth of available storylines that could be included in there. Like, think about what you could do if you had to condense that down to a 2-hour movie. 30 years of history. And take it 30 years of history.
Oh my god.
From the 80s to the present day. And all the while, you've got Nicolas Cage transitioning from an in-ring announcer to an on-air talent to an on-air caricature of himself.
Now this feels like a Discovery Channel, like, in-depth, like...
Yes,
like a Netflix series.
I would
like another.
absolutely watch a Lifetime movie where Nicolas Cage plays Vince McMahon, and it lasts 16 hours, and I watch the whole thing without stopping. It would be awesome.
Adult diapers have come a far way, you guys.
Adult diapers have come a far way. They have. I'll jerry rig some tubing in there so I can last.
I admire the passion.
Yeah. Really good stuff.
So I'm going to ignore the 16 hours comment. I'm going to give it to Ben.
Yeah.
Killed it there. Pretty good ideas all around, but I don't know. That one's too
Yeah,
good.
that's
So,
really good, actually.
Congrats
This
on
is
that
the
one.
entirety of my written pitch.
Is
For
it
those
7
listening,
words?
it's 2 lines.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3,
Nick
4,
Cage
5.
as Vince McMahon. No, that was just me reminding
Oh.
myself of my favorite Nick
Castor
Cage
Troy.
character, Castor Troy.
Troy.
That was another weird thing about The Rock. His last name was so dumb. Like Goodspeed.
Yeah, Goodspeed. Stanley Goodspeed.
That was his wrestling.
No, that's
Nick
his
Cage's
character
character
name
in The Rock.
in The Rock.
Oh.
His
Yeah.
name is Stanley Goodspeed.
Not The Rock, the wrestler.
Yeah,
But
no, that's
I'm-
Dwayne Johnson.
I'm getting confused.
when are you guys doing a podcast about The Rock?
We'll do it.
Anytime soon.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Guys, we'll do it.
Fucking Calgary Stampeder. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next segment here, and this is when we are going to reenact our favorite Nick Cage cage out scene. So we're going to do this, and you're not going to be able to see this for those listening on audio only, but we are definitely encouraging hand gestures and facial expressions as we go along with these. So we're gonna each do our own little segment here. So everyone who does one, we'll let you introduce it as you do. And let's go with Ben first.
Thank you, Carson. So this one is from the movie we were just discussing, The Rock, and it to set the stage a little bit. They have entered into Alcatraz, and then they're just kind of trying to decide what the next course of action will be. And Nick has some things to say about how he lives his life. This is to Sean Connery's Mason.
Got it.
Look, I'm just a biochemist. Most of the time, I work in a little glass jar and lead a very uneventful life. I drive a Volvo, a beige one. But what I'm dealing with here is one of the most deadly substances the Earth has ever known. So what say you cut me some friggin' slack? Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Yes.
Good stuff.
Solid.
Anyone volunteering to go next?
I'll go second because I went second with the first one. Yeah. All right. So, guys, big surprise. I'm going with Moonstruck here.
Wow.
In this scene, we have been introduced to Nicolas Cage's character, but only by phone. He's been, they've shown the back of him, and he's, supposed to be really sexy, but he's just on the phone. He's a little curt with Cher, and Cher's like, well, then I'm going to come down to the bakery and meet you in person. So Cher's character has recently gotten engaged to Nicolas Cage's, wow, that's hard to say, Nicolas Cage's brother. So now she's at the bakery, and she's basically said hi to Ronnie, which is Nicolas Cage's character, and he just kind of looks at her and kind of looks off to the side and starts, I have no life. My brother Johnny took my life from me, and now he's getting married. He has his, he's getting his, and he wants me to come. What is life? They say bread is life, so I bake bread, and the years go by, and I sweat and I shovel this stinking dough in and out of this hot hole in the wall, and I should be so happy, huh, sweetheart? You want me to come to the wedding of my brother Johnny? Where's my wedding? Chrissy, over there, get me the big knife. I'm gonna cut my throat. And again, this is his first time meeting his, future sister-in-law, which then actually becomes his future wife. Oh, spoiler. Yeah, it's a very aggressive way to meet someone, I would say. And we were having a really good giggle during that whole scenario.
It's a very good movie. Again, I
Yeah.
really recommend the movie.
I really want to watch this now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm shocked that you haven't seen it. You'll love it the most, honestly.
Interesting. Do you want to go first? Do you want me?
You go first.
Okay.
I'll go last.
So the scene I'm doing is what's most commonly known as the "you don't say" scene for Nicolas Cage.
Nice.
That's where you see the meme of him doing the facial expression. So I'm gonna try to do the facial expression as I explain this. So
Ooh,
this
okay.
is
Let me
him
get seated.
talking to his secretary in his office. I've never watched this movie, so I don't know what the
Excellent.
context of the scene is. I just have seen the scene.
What's the movie?
Vampire's Kiss.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow, it's so good.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
There's no one else in this entire office that I could possibly ask to share such a horrible job. You're the lowest on the totem here, Alva. The lowest. Do you realize that? Every other secretary has been here longer than you, Alva. Everyone. Even if there was someone here who was here just one day longer than you, I wouldn't ask that person to partake in such a miserable job as long as you were around. That's right, Alva. It's a horrible, horrible job, sifting through old contract after old contract. I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it. You have to, or I'll fire you. Do you understand? Do you? Good.
Oh my god. Oh my
Bravo.
god. That
Yeah.
was so good. I actually hurt my neck from not laughing. Oh god. Oh, it's so
Not
good.
laughing on purpose, though.
Oh yeah.
Like,
no,
you should
like
be
trying
careful.
desperately not to laugh so that
So
we
he's
can catch
choking
the audio.
himself.
I had my hands on my neck.
No,
Wasn't even
that,
thinking about it. That's
that
so
was
good.
some solid facial
Man,
expression.
people are gonna be bummed out that this one is not video recorded.
Yeah.
So this next one is definitely going to be on our Instagram story, which will be expired by the time anyone hears this online.
right,
But there's definitely going
Save
to
it
be...
to the highlight reel.
It's okay. I took a picture so I can post it on our Instagram. I accurately predicted that your face would be terrifying.
It was great. No, I
But
think
no,
it was
great.
very
Yeah.
close.
Very good.
Very close.
Whew. All right. I also chose my scene from the same movie, Vampire's Kiss, which I have also not seen.
We gotta see this movie. It's totally great.
You know what? I'm probably gonna watch it.
Me too.
We basically, it was just time constraints that kept us from watching it. I'm renting it. I'm gonna rent it. Like, we're gonna watch it.
Yeah. I prefer to give zero context to this because it's just absolutely insane. The accent that he does, I don't understand what it is or what it's supposed to be, but I'll try and replicate it as best I can. And I'm going to employ Ben here to be my psychiatrist in the scene. It's not a monologue. It's a back and forth, if you will.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, you know what? Let me move over there because
Yeah, I'll move too.
we both need this. Okay, here
It's getting intense here.
Also, I should note that when I scream a lot and I've been drinking, I tend to there's a chance I might throw up.
Oh god.
I thought you were going to say screech.
I thought that you maybe knock stuff over. Definitely not throw up.
Okay. All right.
Let me get out of your way.
Shouldn't, if a literary agency makes a copy of every single contract that it makes with a client, and then puts it in a file, in the appropriate file, shouldn't the copy be in that file? It should, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Unless, of course, it's somehow been misfiled.
Misfiled?
Well, yeah, misfiled. Sometimes somebody puts a document in the wrong file, and it's misfiled. It makes it much harder to find.
Who? What do you mean? Who? How could somebody misfile something? What could be easier? It's all alphabetical. You just put it in the right file. According to alphabetical order. You know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Peter.
H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P,
Peter.
Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z! Huh? That's all you have to do!
Very good. You know your alphabet.
I never misfiled anything! Not once, not one time! I want to know who did!
I cannot possibly tell you that.
You can't?
No, I can't.
Huh. And you call yourself a psychiatrist. Scene.
That was really
Oh, man.
Good job.
This is
Good job.
intense.
Oh, I feel good.
Oh,
That was great.
Well,
Really
will-
spent, you know, like
I need to take a break.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Maybe everyone should cage out like once a week.
I
I think
think
everyone
right.
would feel
It's
real lot better.
therapeutic, like-
Yeah. That's what I think I'm most jealous of actors. It's not like, you know, the rich lifestyle and everything else. It's that you get to act a little bit crazy and everyone's like, oh, that person. They're just an actor.
And imagine Nick Cage. He gets to do that on the regular.
yeah.
Totally.
You order if he decides to order his like McDonald's order super wild, everyone's just gonna start applauding, right? Like, I want a Big Mac. You're like, yes, I love you so much. Yes,
McNuggets, 6 of them, but just 6.
yeah, perfect. You are a treasure. You are a national treasure.
So we will end it off there. And we will end it off as we usually do, as calling out some movies that we're looking forward to coming out. So who wants to take this one first?
I'll go second this time.
Second
Oh, no,
was
I'll
my
go,
spot.
No, okay, I'll go third this time.
I'll go first again. Yeah, all right, here we go. I am both excited and scared about this movie coming up. Who knows if they're gonna do it? Here we go. Venom. It's coming up in October. It is already kind of on the back foot because I've seen all the trailers and I don't see fucking Spider-Man in any of those trailers. And why the fuck does he have Spider-Man powers if he's not staring at Spider-Man? Also, I feel like this is where Marvel is like, oh no, go make that on your own to Sony. And we've seen how that works out. They need the collaborative powers of Marvel in there. So, but it could be cool, you know? Tom Hardy is a competent dude who could do some pretty cool stuff when he's motivated.
Michelle
And
Williams, too.
Michelle Williams is in it. She doesn't fuck around.
She really does.
Michelle-
She
Is she
really
the-
does not fuck
Is
around.
she the dark-haired girl?
Blonde.
She's
Oh,
never
okay.
the dark-haired girl.
No, there's a dark-haired girl that's a comedian that plays... Never mind.
Okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, so it could be good. It could be absolute shit. And
I'm leaning towards the absolute shit direction.
I'm just hopeful.
I'll still see it opening weekend.
Yeah.
The trailer worries me, but it has like got a lot of good things going for it.
Like what?
Tom Hardy.
And the black goo looks convincing.
And what's his name? The villain is the pilot from Rogue One.
Riz Ahmed.
Yep,
I like Riz Ahmed.
I like him.
I don't like Rogue One, but
Rogue One.
Oh, it was my favorite, but I don't really like Star Wars movies. So.
It was your favorite of the Star Wars.
Yeah, it was. But I'm not a true Star Wars fan, so it's not
Ah,
like
that's
anything.
that's
right?
okay.
Like,
I'll take it.
I like when things are self-contained. Everyone died. It was awesome.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
Hard spoilers.
I
for
mean,
Rogue One.
it was
It was a
spoiled.
while ago.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talking about Rogue One in this.
I did like that everyone died.
For different reasons.
Because then I don't have to see these characters anymore.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god.
I liked those characters so much. That's why I was bummed out they died. And that's what made it an effect. Anyway.
Shadoe, what are you looking
Yeah,
forward
I'm
to?
looking forward to the new Melissa McCarthy vehicle, the Happy Time Murders. Looks pretty cool. I like vulgar puppets. I actually, it's funny, not just puppets, but with violence, I really can't do it if it's like real people. But cartoons or puppets, like the more violent, the better. Like I can't get enough of it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this movie.
Like when they get shot with a shotgun and stuffing
Oh
flying
yeah,
everywhere.
totally. But if that happened with like a bunch of blood, I'd be like, oh god. But with stuffing, I'm like, ha more. Why isn't the stuffing rainbow colored? Hilarious.
And meanwhile, they're like, I'm dying. And she's like,
Or the spraying of silly string everywhere.
Yeah.
For those that have seen the R-rated trailer, you should check it out.
Paul, what are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to the Predators movie, the new one, which is like
yeah.
number 9 in the series or something.
If we count AVP.
Which we do.
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
The Predator's in it.
I suppose.
But
Oh, interesting.
actually, I picked this one in jest, but I'm like 70% actually looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch it because at first the trailer had worried me, but then I saw like who's in it, and it There's a lot of people that I like. Michael Key.
Yeah.
The guy, he was in an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's a black guy. He's a...
Terry Crews?
No.
An
from Moonlight.
episode.
He was
he's
in Moonlight?
been in a lot
He
of
was
them.
the older guy in the 1/3 of it where he's an adult in Moonlight.
Okay. I guess we're talking about the same guy, but in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he was a dentist and he was a murder suspect. He's a really smart guy. He's...
Oh, Don Cheadle.
No.
No.
He's in that hotel
Tim
movie,
Meadows?
Hotel Artemis.
Wait, the guy from This Is Us?
Sterling K. Brown?
That name sounds familiar.
No, I think these are different people we're thinking of.
Well, no, Sterling K. Brown was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as like a I'm smarter than you guy.
Yes!
I don't
Oh.
think he's in Predators, though.
No,
He is in Hotel Artemis, though.
It is
Yeah,
that guy.
I know
He
who
is-
you're talking
He
about.
is in Predator.
Okay, we're going to look this up.
Okay, we'll look it up.
I
You can
also-
fact check me.
I did really like the movie Predators, and
Yes.
so I'm with you on that. I'm kind
Yeah.
of excited.
And the guy who played in Logan, who was like the cyborg guy who's chasing Logan,
The bad guy, yeah.
the bad guy. He's in it as the...
Fitzroy.
Okay, that's his name?
Yeah.
He's the main protagonist, I think. He's like a Marine scout sniper or something like that. But the concept, from what I could glean from the trailer, it was kind of interesting, is like the whole like crazy bus group of people. So it's like a misfit group that's trying to stay alive, which I think is what's the deal. Unless I'm completely wrong, because the trailer doesn't give you that much. But
So I love the whole cast. I love the director and writer, who's Shane Black, who wrote the original Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah.
Also directed Iron Man 3 and The Nice Guys.
Was it also Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and All, which what kind of re-kicked Robert Downey Jr.'s career. He's done a lot of great stuff, but the trailer was really disappointing.
yeah, that was
So-
my biggest worry.
I'm hoping it's just a bad trailer.
Yeah.
Also, this whole idea of like... So I go back to this one quote from Jurassic World where Chris Pratt's character is like, they're dinosaurs, wow enough. And it's the same thing in Predators where it's like, they're predators, wow enough. Why do you need super predator? And it's like,
Which
I don't know.
they're definitely not doing.
They're definitely doing.
Yeah.
What?
It looks like
Oh.
they have like a tall centaur.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
it's
Predator.
super predator. So that has me worried, but otherwise, like everyone involved with it, I'm pretty cool with.
I have a soft spot for dumb action movies that are also sci-fi.
Oh, and Shadoe has looked up something in the Paulo is not a racist category. Sterling K. Brown is in The Predator.
Boom!
Yep. Yep.
Does it also have the guy from Moonlight then?
Let's just look.
We just looked up Sterling
You
K.
just
Brown.
look it up. That's all you have to do.
Yep. No, we're doing it right
Okay,
now.
while we're looking that up more, I'll segue that
Is that
into...
Trevante Rhodes?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
So
in
then
it
they're
too.
both
Okay, so they're both in it.
Yeah, they're both
Okay,
in it.
okay.
We're both
Yay,
right.
neither of them are
Yay.
racist. Yay!
We're not
Everybody
racist!
passed
Well,
the test.
I mean...
That's going to be our Instagram quote for this episode.
Okay.
Carson Wentz.
Looking forward to.
So what I'm looking forward to is over the next month, the Toronto International Film Festival will be going on. I will be watching 20 to 25 movies at this festival. The one that I'm most looking forward to is a movie called Widows, which I can't say whether I'm seeing or not. It's not out in theaters until November, but it's my #1 most anticipated movie of 2018. It's the guy who did 12 Years a Slave, essentially doing a movie with Viola Davis where the husbands die and the wives need to take over a heist.
Whoa,
Looks
cool.
pretty fucking cool. The #2 movie I'm looking forward to, I'm not going to watch at TIFF because it's coming out 2 weeks later, and that's First Man, starring Ryan Gosling. But Widows would be the one I'm most looking forward to. But while I am talking about TIFF, I'll shout out that our Instagram, Houston We Have a Podcast, I will be live storying / Instagramming TIFF while I'm there.
Oh, you better.
So you can see all the lines that I'm standing in for 8 straight days.
Oh shit. And I will also post stories while I'm not at TIFF, so you get a strange balance of.
It'll be really nice to see like Carson in a line, kind of frustrated, and then like 2 seconds later, Paulo feet up on the couch, also like already watching a movie,
Watching
maybe.
something dumb on
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah. Baywatch again.
The new Baywatch movie was awesome.
It's good.
I
No,
mean-
I know. I
I'm never gonna be on this podcast
know. I
again.
watched it. I celebrate that movie.
Ben already defended it on a
Talked about
previous
in the past.
episode.
It's so funny.
I haven't watched it, so I can't technically hate on
You
it.
got it.
I ended
You
up
will.
watching it on a plane and coming home and being like, "Hey Ben, the new Baywatch movie is actually pretty good." And then when it hit Netflix, being like, "Oh, okay. I mean, I could watch it again." And you need to know, I do not rewatch movies.
Oh.
Like it's hardcore.
It's quite the endorsement.
So
Carson.
Probably not going to watch it.
yeah, no, I have terrible taste. I would not go to 20 to 25 movies in a week, and I commend you, sir. I think that's going to be incredible.
It's going to be way too many lines.
Like wear really good shoes. Maybe get like a insole like in your shoes.
Oh,
way
yeah.
ahead of
Like
you.
a cushiony insole. Yeah,
I'm already there.
you're already there. Good.
All right, we will end it there. For the two of you that are still listening, thank you for sticking on this long. Ben, Shadoe, thank you for coming on.
Thank
for this
you.
episode.
Thank you. Fun
And
times.
see you again next month.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo.